We're on a routine patrol with the Afghan National Police in Wardak province. They say that they're very limited in terms of the equipment that they have, and in fact over the past couple of months they've lost around 20 men carrying out these operations. This area is controlled by the government, but further on is Taliban territory, and it's these guys that come out every day to look for and then defuse IEDs that are being planted by the Taliban on the road or in civilian areas.
کمک میکردن زمانی که از ولایت‌ها جمع شدن در مرکز فقط تیم انجینری خودم قماندانی هست، یعنی اگر وقت امکانش بود کمک میکردن، ولی مشکلاتی یعنی از تیم انجینری یا وسایل مشکل یا برای ماست. وسایل خمسا کردن ما این هم بسیار با کمبودی از اون مواجه هستیم.
Do you wish that the Americans had stayed?
بودنشان خوب است، چون نظر به وسایل پیشرفته نداریم. اینمی یک چیزی است که آن شما با چشم و سر مشاهده میکنین که این چیزی نتیجه هم نمیده. زیاد دوستای ما را، زیاد نیروهای امنیتی ما را به شهادت رسانده، فقط ما این زیاد.
What's the answer? Who do you hold responsible?
کسی که امکاناتش داره، یعنی دوستای امریکایی، باید در اختیار حکومت افغانستان چیزی که معثر است.
The United States military has begun strikes against Al-Qaeda terrorist training camps and military installations of the Taliban regime in Afghanistan.
20 years ago, the US, with the help of its allies, invaded Afghanistan and removed the Taliban regime. The conflict spanned 4 US presidencies, cost nearly $2 trillion and left over 110,000 Afghan police, military and civilians, as well as 2,300 US soldiers dead. Last year's deal between the Taliban and the Trump administration required a full withdrawal of US forces. President Biden is intent on following through with the agreement.
War in Afghanistan was never meant to be a multi-generational undertaking. We were attacked. We went to war with clear goals. We achieved those objectives. And it's time to end the forever war.
4 years ago, 11,000 US troops were stationed in Afghanistan with the objective to train and support Afghan forces, including 300 Marines here in Helmand. Today, they're gone. Afghan forces are now preparing to face the fight alone, with the final US troops set to return home by September 11th. This was once the largest US Marine base in Helmand province, but now it's like a ghost town because the vast majority of American troops have withdrawn and there's only a handful left. There are Afghan civilians who support the withdrawal of US forces because they see them as occupiers. But for politicians leading the frontline fight against the Taliban, like Hamdullah Mohib, it brings complications. Mohib is the National Security Advisor for Afghanistan, and he's come to Helmand to meet with security officials. So in what way has the US withdrawal impacted your job as National Security Advisor?
Well, we weren't expecting it to come this soon. So there hasn't really been a proper transition. It has helped in one way, but also put us at risk in others. We had to expedite self-reliance and self-sufficiency with our security forces at a much faster pace than what we were preparing for.
And the risk?
The Taliban could see this as an opportunity and attack us like they did, and think that they could overrun a couple of provinces and put us in a situation where it may be hard for us to take them back.
Has American troops pulling out made your ability to protect civilians harder?
The capabilities we have built over the last 20 years have equipped us to be able to do the job relatively well. We have always emphasized that it's not the number of US troops, it's the capabilities that they provide us to do what we need to do. But nonetheless, we're preparing for that zero troops option. There were conditionalities attached to the US-Taliban agreement, and the Taliban have not met that. One of them was a reduction in violence, and we have not yet seen the Taliban to really comply with that, and we are seeing increased number of attacks. It seems like they still think they can take power by force in Afghanistan.
If you could give the Taliban a message right now, what would it be?
I think they should take peace negotiations seriously. The Afghan people want an end to this war.
They've gained a lot from these peace negotiations, whereas you're left with decreasing US support and the possibility of giving up some of your power to the Taliban. Are you gaining anything from this at all?
Peace is what we wish to gain from it.
But that's not happening, is it?
Well, it hasn't come to an end yet. We're still negotiating. That is the quickest way to end this conflict.
It seems like everybody knows, though, that the Taliban doesn't want a democracy. So is this even worth it?
Well, we think that democracy is the best way or the best system because in that the Taliban can exist.
Do you really believe that the Taliban would ever support a democracy? Do you honestly believe that?
I think we can convince them.
The US withdrawal isn't stopping Afghans from joining the army. These newest recruits come at a time when the Taliban controls over half the country and thousands of civilians continue to be killed and injured each year. We're with new recruits in the Afghan National Army. Every single soldier has to go through 12 weeks of training. After that, they're either sent off for more specialist training or they can be sent directly into combat. These are the new generation of soldiers who will be risking their lives on the front lines of the war, but this time without US ground support. At one point, there were tens of thousands of US soldiers who were stationed in Afghanistan, who were fighting alongside Afghan forces. Now there's hardly any. How does that change the future for these men who you're training?
As a brigade commander, from the training point of view, and as my level, when I am seeing the morals of the soldiers, they are very high. This is their country. They keep on telling me that this is our land, our soil, our country. We have to defend, whether our international community is there to support or not. Support of the international community is very important. We are quite sure, and our soldiers are sure, that we will not be left by the international community, and they will keep supporting the Afghanistan army, whether their physical presence is here or not.
تاسو ته چې کومه وظیفه درکړه شوې وه په ډېر شجاعانه باندې تاسو خپله وظیفه اجرا کړه آفرین دې وي هر کله چې داسې وظیفې استخدامېږي په همدغه شان دي.
What was it exactly that made you decide that you wanted to pick up a gun and fight for your country?
در حال حاضر توریستا در وطن ما خیلی زیاد است و وطنم برای من نیاز داره و ما هم میخواهیم که از وطنم دفاع کنم و این خواهیم اینو وطنم از وطنم دور بسازم.
Taliban used to say that its fight was against American soldiers, but now it says that its fight is against Afghan soldiers. How does that make you feel, being the next generation of soldiers who are going to fight this war?
اونها چون منافع شخصی خود در نظر میگیرن، میخوان یک حکومت دیگه تشکیل بدن و وطن ما رو ویران بسازن، وطن ما رو پارچه پارچه بسازن. اونا دشمن اصلیشون ما هستیم، ما افغانی هستیم. هیچ کسی دشمن اصلی اونا نیست و ما نمیذاریم که وطن ما رو اونا پارچه پارچه بسازن.
Do you think about that a lot, the level of danger that you're going to be facing?
نه خیر، چون ما افغان هستم میخوام از وطنم دفاع کنم و مرگ و ترس در نظر من هیچ معلوم نمیشه.
You're ready to die for your country?
بله یا اصلا برام فرق نمیکنه به خاطر که کشور ما آباد شوه ما چی که 1000 تا جوان دیگه معذور از به کار.
Do you all feel ready? Who do you consider your biggest enemy to be? Who here has lost somebody to the war in Afghanistan? That's well over half of the people here. Is that why you're fighting?